Tools,
I'm sorry.
we
I
already talked
realized I
about
was recording.
productivity tools. I'm sorry. Did you say something?
I'm sorry. I realized I wasn't recording, so I just restarted it.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah, and this is kind of a recap part anyway. And then, the story I will repeat is about the prices with the gemstone dealer I met. This is a gemstone dealer that I met at a show in Tucson, and he had been doing rock. He started with rock hounding in the 70s, and he's been in that business up until now. And he had a pricing strategy that I really loved, which was raising his prices 10% per year across the board, no matter what. And his reasoning behind this was the fact that every year you've built your audience, you've invested in your business, you've done all those things, you've been paying for platforms, you've been, all kinds of different things. You're traveling, you opened your brick and mortar, you're starting to do in-person shows, and every year that keeps cranking along. And you're also building, like I said, your audience, you're building they know you better, they like you better, they trust you. That 10%, you're earning that every year just by your continuing being in business. So that made sense to me. And then you also want to watch your pricing as far as the prices of the materials or things, supplies you may need for your business. So as you're, sustaining in the sustaining mode and growth mode, you definitely want to watch your prices because this is where that gets real important. And one thing I'll say about prices too is you can always lower your price, but raising it, that's where you'll run into friction and customer pain point if you have to raise them, and especially if you have to raise them a lot because you really did not do your pricing formulas right in the beginning. So remember that you can always go down, but going up is a lot harder. Um, And then we talked about, maybe you're going to start looking at some funding sources. You're going to start building collaborations and sponsorships and working with other complementary businesses. So you're combining your audience and your reach. You're going to start thinking about savings plans and business credit. Um, so yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So if you could scroll down for me, Arlen, to the next,
Hmm.
as much of it as I'll show. So like I said, you do want to go back to your business plan. It's nice to have it. It's almost like, your business manual, so to speak. Like you get sometimes when employees get hired, they give you that employee manual. Well, this is basically your employee manual for yourself. That's another way to look at it. Instead of business plan, which can sound a little scary and formal, this is your basic reference that you've made for yourself, and you can go back and adjust it as business evolves, but also, as I said before, your community, things could have changed that affect your business, countrywide, worldwide. So you do want to have this as a basis to go back and reevaluate and be able to adjust for different situations. For instance, if you were, I've based on in-person shows, and I'm not doing wholesaling or I'm not doing other things, and then here comes the pandemic and all your in-person shows are gone because you had all your eggs in one basket. So of course, after, say after the pandemic's over, you relaunch and you go, okay, I need multiple revenue streams. I think you've probably heard me say that almost every workshop, multiple revenue streams. And that could be even within your same business. For instance, a potter or a metalsmith, you could make things that are purely artistic, and you could make things that are functional. So you could just have beautiful ceramic sculptures, but you can also have ceramic bowls and plates and cups and things like that. And those are two revenue streams, but within the same medium. I also know some potters who they'll make pendants out of their pottery. So then all of a sudden they're also getting a revenue stream from jewelry. So there's different ways that you can diversify your revenue stream without having multiple businesses. You can do it within the same business that you have already. You want to keep maintaining those financial statements, and again, A lot of times, it's good to be as accurate as possible with these numbers, but if it's starting to bog you down, base it on how should I say it? Base it on credible estimates, at least credible estimates. If you don't have the time to go and say, oh my gosh, let me, down to the cents calculate every one of these receipts, you can skim through them and get a basic, a good, reasonable estimate. I don't want people to get bogged down in becoming, too obsessed with these reports, but they are important because if you don't have a budget, you don't know how much is coming in or going out, then you don't have any idea of like, oh, well, what's next? This May I've made this much, but April I made this much. Well, what's that going to look like next year? And you can make your projections. And then, of course, since you're evaluating, you've got that schedule of, monthly, weekly, quarterly, or biannual tasks. You'll be watching those reports. And as it tracks to like May of 2026, you'll have an idea of how things are going and what to expect. Which months are going to be slower, which months are going to be busier. And again, that's according to seasons and all other outside influences. Then you want to, as much as you're monitoring those financial statements, you want to monitor your progress, your analytics that I mentioned, your Google Analytics, your website platform analytics, any customer feedback you're getting. You're going to evaluate the speed of your website, evaluate the performance of your posts on social media. And definitely the sales reports feeds right into budget and profit and loss reports. And as far as um, customer feedback. Customers are such a great resource, and we're going to talk about this later when we're talking about networking. Customers are a great resource to help you with analytics. I think I mentioned in another workshop how when I first launched my brand new super fancy website and I had invested in a upgraded template, I'd invested in someone to help me set it up. But I started managing it myself after that. So when I started having sales come in, I would literally I would email them directly and say, hey, how was your checkout experience? Was the shipping easy to make a decision about? Was the selection of an item or the size, So they can be a great resource for analytics and feedback on how things are working. I mean, because you can test it all you want, but until you know how a customer, and that's an organic customer, not your mom or your sister. I definitely have had the people, friends do test sales and stuff like that. But organic customers are your valuable source for feedback on those sorts of things and helping you with like real on the ground analytics. Say they come in your store and it's like, hey, how do are you enjoying your experience here? Or let me show you this plate or whatever. And they might go, oh, it's a little dark over here. I can't really see it. And then I need to put a spotlight over here. So you need to adjust your displays. Um, Arlen, I think the
Yeah, I'm
Windows
sorry. I'm
switch.
trying to get it back up.
Oh, it's okay, no problem. I could take a moment to get some water and I was on the phone so long with Microsoft right before this. Actually, this is a good moment. Does anybody have any questions about what I've said so far?
No, all good. Thank you.
Okay. And I appreciate y'all being patient with me. I'm a little tired and flustered today because of dealing with businesses that don't really do their business very well. And when they get that big, they don't care. They know you need them. Microsoft, they're only going to lose you to Apple. Apple, they're only going to lose you to Microsoft. So, yeah. But with those subscriptions and all those little companies, we can make our decisions there. They just make it hard for us. So also too, as you get into your kind of groove You want to optimize time management. You want to delegate as much as you can. You want to outsource tasks as much as you can, and you want to automate tasks as much as you can. Because you're gonna quickly find, as a one-person operation, and you may already know this, I'm sure, that we can't do everything. And there's strategic ways that you can find help. You could, for instance, with time management, you could use an app for that, or even just your own reminders in Google Calendar, something like that. Delegating, that could be where, say you get an apprentice or someone to help you that in trade. It could be like you're trading product for someone who's going to help, come stretch your canvases so you can be more productive, and they're learning and you're, able to be more productive. Outsourcing, I've done some subcontracting before. You've probably already heard the word independent contractor. These are people who you can hire to do outsourced tasks, such as, like I was saying, okay, I want 100 canvases stretched, or I want 100 earring wires made. And you can outsource tasks like that to an independent contractor. Of course, you have a contract with them, this number of pieces, this price per piece to be delivered by X time. And that's another way that you can take the burden off yourself. And here's where I would say you have to spend money to make money. A lot of people will go, well, I can't really afford that. But guess what? If you say, oh, okay, well, I'm hiring someone at, say $20 an hour. And independent contractors, they work independently. They could have a job that's 2 or 3 hours. They could have a job that's 2 or 3 months. So you say, okay, if I'm paying them $20 an hour and in 3 hours they can complete, 300 ear wires for me, and I've for $60, look how much time I've saved for an investment of $60. And now I've saved hundreds of dollars of time. And that many ear wires is going to go on, say, thousands of dollars of inventory. So when you think about that, always think about reinvesting in your business and think about it as an investment. And really, if you calculate it, then you realize that it makes a lot of sense to do. So with marketing and promotions, this is a time where it's going to be important for you to stay consistent. And this is why that having that foundation of the automations and have some content build up, like a folder already with a ton of, great pictures, have content ideas, have some fun stories, have some lifestyle stuff ready, have some video demos, and people want to see your face. You could just do a check-in video with people or a quick story. So you want to make sure you keep up that marketing schedule. And that also includes, even your local marketing. Maybe it's print is still very powerful. It could be an ad in the newspaper. It could be flyers in your local area, depending on your business. So marketing is not just only online. You have to think about other sources, and definitely at this point that you're actually, established and you're running, would be a good time to start seeking out PR opportunities too, which means, having a press release ready, sending it to the newspaper or the local media outlets or other entities when you're having events, or especially for your grand openings or launches or things like that. And then if you have a release template done, you can just drag and drop information into it. And we talked about that earlier, of having these certain documents that are going to be kind of living documents uh, created during that foundational process that you can just update. You can keep updating it. And then you can also not only update it for content, but of course, visual styles change as far as trends. So you can update it for that as well. So that's definitely something you want to put in that library of living documents that are going to keep, just like your business plan or your employee manual, that's going to keep on giving. Let's see here. As I said, use hard data to work on your marketing and drive your campaigns, and then you're going to get those metrics back to help figure out what to do next. Like I said, partnering and sponsorships, that's going to be really, really important. And you want to also, because as people start kind of getting some momentum and you're not used to it yet because you're having all these moving parts, and this is when people can start to slip on keeping everything kind of neat and tidy between your personal uh, income, expenses, things like that, and your business. Uh, what you want to do is, like I said before in a previous workshop, is you want a business account of some sort. You have to have a business account because that is going to allow you to separate that income. This is important for many reasons. It's especially important for taxes. It's important if you want to pursue any sorts of funding or grants. It's important because it's also an easy way for you to track your business budget, income, and cash flow. Because by having a business bank account, well, what do? They give you statements. And depending on what kind of accounts you have, you might even be able to itemize or separate different types of transactions and things like that. So it's also a good tool, as much as it is a requirement to keep your business honestly legal. You don't want to be running business expenses through your personal income account and vice versa. So yeah, that's something you really want to make sure you have at this point. We already talked about definitely adjusting your prices. And the other thing with that is your production cost. Say your overhead goes up because you had to move locations. We also talked about, price of products going up and your market demand. Maybe, okay, I'm not going to carry as much inventory because this certain product is not moving as fast. And that way I can put money into another product that's moving faster. And you may find out that product that's slow might be something you just need to drop. So as you grow, these are things that you have to watch. And if you could scroll down for me, Arlen. So here's some tools and resources for what I was talking about, some different platforms that can be used. Um, let me see here. Just want to make sure I didn't miss something. Yes, I already talked about the budgeting tools to forecast those financial projections. Um, but here's some tools like, for instance, Wave. QuickBooks can be a bit pricey. Google Sheets, because you don't even have to. There's a lot of free platforms out there, especially if you're just starting out and you don't even know what platforms are going to fit you yet. Using those, Google, those free tools can be very helpful. Flowdesk, Omnisend, Canva, Buffer, those are great for marketing and customer retention management is CRM. You'll start to hear that word, especially another word for it could be email marketing. There are some more expensive platforms that allow you to have a database, and you can not only automate emails, but you can also do invoices and contracts and things like that through it. So again, you're gonna shop around. And as far as funding, uh, things like I love microloans, and microloans love creatives. Traditional bank loans and dealing with the SBA, those I almost say they're not going to lend you money until you don't need it. And that's really not useful, especially when a creative business is starting off and they don't really understand a creative business. I had a meeting with a couple SBA guys, and it was just personally, it was atrocious. The way I was treated professionally was very unprofessional, and they just did not understand my business at all. And I was just shocked because I'm sitting there looking at them, and they both have on watches. They both have on wedding bands, and I know their wives have wedding bands. And I'm like, how do you not understand that, my business is a business when you're wearing products, from my industry? So you have to seek out the kind of funding that's going to be friendly to creative businesses. And a lot of times those are microloans. Kiva's a crowd funding platform. Kickstarter was a previous version of that. Everybody has their different comfort level with using these different platforms. West is a very good CDFI, and I'll say what that is in a second, in New Mexico. They have multiple locations in multiple cities, and they do micro lending. They have a great program. I am a client. I will do a disclosure. And they really help their clients grow. They have a ton of resources that they provide their clients, and they have webinars and classes that you can just take. You don't have to be their client. And they have a wealth of them. So CDFIs are called Community Development Financial Institutions, and similar or as West is a nonprofit. And these are based on, doing microloans. So they are looking at more unusual businesses, like say you have a food truck instead of a brick and mortar restaurant, or, a pottery business, or you're a painter, and they are more friendly towards creative businesses in general. And the bonus of being a creator, and so seek out CDFIs in your area. There are a lot of them. I know there's one community foundation of Southern New Mexico that serves Southern New Mexico. So there's some that are regional, and some are state, and some are national. So definitely research that. And grants, because we're in the creative industries, not only New Mexico Economic Development has some great grant programs, there's a lot of grants out there for the arts. And grants, as much as they are grants, you may or may not get them, are excellent investment in your business, because you don't have to pay the funds back. Usually, you will have to provide documentation to apply. That's where those financial documents come in, as well as your business bank account and your EIN number from the IRS, your tax number, and all that. Because even if you're not looking for bank funding, and you're not even going that way, if you're looking for grant funding, you're still going to need that. A lot of grants want to see that you are invested in your business enough to have all of those things in place. And a lot of times you can't even apply if you don't have those things in place. And actually, New Mexico Economic Development just had a great webinar about grants, because that applies, those are skills for any grants that you can apply for. So that is a wonderful opportunity that we have in the creative industries, is that we have a lot of grants that are supporting our industry, supporting our practices. And the cool thing is, they're pretty uh, comprehensive in the things that they will include. It won't just be your quote unquote traditional arts. I mean, it'll be everything from performances to supporting the creation of art spaces, the creation of, say, a maker space, and helping to outfit that with tools. The grants can range from it could be just individual grants that are going to individual businesses. So the world of grants for creative businesses is really wide, and I would definitely pursue that as much as possible. And the thing with grants that I will say that's just very simple is break them down line by line by line, of what they're asking for, because one of the main things that people make a mistake with grants is just simply not answering every question that they're asking. You want to address every single thing that they're asking, and then you want to, put your panache in there and your passion and things like that. But if they're asking for these things, you want to make sure that you answer every question. And did we skip some pages? I wonder, can you scroll back for me? Oh, okay, I know what it is. Yeah, this is the written one. Do you have the perfect? Thank you. See, Arlen, You guys are Jedis over there at Creative Industries Division. I love that about Shawnee. Uh, they read my mind. So let's scroll down and we'll get to, yeah, we talked about that. We talked about some funding. Oh, I'm sorry. Go back to the collaborations, the one right before this one. Yes, thank you. Partnerships, sponsorships, and collaborations. You want to be strategic about these. Like I said, picking businesses that are complementary to you. Places you can find are certain events or local businesses, your fellow creatives, say two people can go in and share a booth. Some shows allow that. And that can be a way that both of you can afford to do a show, but definitely pick the right person. It could be one business going into another business. Say, for instance, there's a local business here in TRC and she does something called bracelet bars. And you can like pick your own charms and different beads to make your own bracelet. And she held one at the local brewery. So, of course, the local brewery is a fun spot. And so you could go and make your own bracelet and, for that price with her business. And then you could also have a drink there and possibly catch some music after it. And so that was a great example of a partnership. And sometimes it could have been that she had to pay a certain percentage to the brewery for her sales, or it could just be the brewery's getting boosted sales and she's getting boosted sales. There's any number of ways that you can come up with to make agreements. There could be certain events that your business would be good for sponsoring. Say there's a farm to table dinner happening at one of these beautiful, farms that does things like that. Well, say you blow glass and you say, hey, I'm going to provide all the wine glasses for this farm to table dinner. And that way they're getting these beautiful hand blown glasses for their dinner, and you're getting all that exposure because the glasses are for sale. And then, of course, whatever doesn't sell is now your inventory that you can sell elsewhere. But look how much you've raised your profile with that winery that's working with that farm to table farm. And now you're exposed to all their audience as well. So you think out of the box with that kind of stuff. And don't be afraid to approach people because a lot of times businesses need these types of things, but we're all so busy, we don't take the time to go seek them out. And this is something else that I'm going to talk about with networking is they need these things. So if you come to them with those things, they're like, oh, great, that's a fantastic idea. It's something I've been wanting to do for a long time, but I just haven't had the time to research businesses and look, and seek them out. So if you come to them, it makes it that much easier for them. And if they say no, well, guess what? Look, there's with that farm to table example, they're all over the place. One says no, just go to the next one. All no means is it's another opportunity to approach someone else. And no could also be for a very good reason. It could be that the vibe isn't there. It could be that gut feeling goes off for either one of you. And yeah, it's just maybe not the right fit. So don't be taking that no personally. It's just not the right fit. Excuse me. So you do want to be strategic, like I said, about these types of things, with picking the right venues that you're going to collaborate with or entities, and making sure that there's mutual benefit there. A lot of creatives, we can tend to give because we're, usually that type of people, we're giving this beautiful creativity out there in the world. So a lot of times we can tend to undervalue it ourselves and give a little too much in these things that are supposed to be partnerships. So you do want to look for mutual benefit. And that doesn't have to be in a, using feeling kind of way. It's just that, hey, we want this to be a successful thing for both of us. That's where you're looking for mutual benefit. It's not just about making friends, but it's also not just about doing something that's exploitive either. Um, then when it comes down Um, Definitely with sponsorships and campaigns and shows and collaborations, any of that, you do want to have, just like I referred to earlier with that PR uh, template, you do want to have something where if an event says, "Oh, can you send me, some information," or you want that elevator pitch ready, it might be a media kit they want. It might be just like your mission statement, or what you're about, your brand value statement, something like that. So that's why it's great for you to have that foundational kind of library of documents that's there that you can just update and be ready to take advantage of these opportunities. Um, Networking. Networking, I can't say enough about. I gave a workshop the other night about networking. And it's not just, it's kind of become an older term, and I kind of don't like it. And I was making jokes about wanting to come up with another word for networking. I was like, well, networking is kind of just like conversations. It's not really, it's really just conversations. It's talking to people. It's not about going to uh, exclusively branded networking events. You can network anywhere. I've networked in my doctor's office just because when I was checking in, they love my necklace and they asked me about it. And then I give them a card and they're looking at it. And the next thing you know, when I sit down, the lady next to me is like, "Well, what are you guys talking about? I saw you looking at, oh, okay." Would start talking about my jewelry with her, give her a card. I've actually had a doctor who became a very good customer of mine and brought her sister to a show. So networking can be done anywhere. Now, that doesn't mean you walk into your doctor's office and start handing everyone cards. It's not necessarily the right venue. But when things happen like that organically, you need to be ready to kind of go with the flow and be respectful about it. I mean, I didn't all of a sudden start my whole sales pitch to the whole waiting room. You can network in the grocery store. I've run into people. You can network with, of course, like I said, your fellow creatives, because they're a great source of like, hey, how was that show? Because shows can change year to year. Or, hey, I got a wholesale account at this particular store. How was your experience working with them? And it could be a fantastic store, but you could find out that they have horrible payment history or practices. And just because someone may have a fancy store and a big name does not mean that's who you need to work with. And honestly, there was a kind of a saying going on about working with, like, when I was in New York, Bergdorf Goodman was a big department store, and they used to have these open calls for designers and jewelers and things like that. Was famously known, and unfortunately not to everybody because they got a big crowd every year, that they would order, if they liked you, they would order a ton of stuff that you couldn't possibly produce because they're overwhelming someone who is not at that level. Then you try to and may succeed in delivering, and then they would take so long to pay you after you've outlaid all that money, because you may have to literally borrow money for orders this large, and you'd be out of business for success. So maybe Bergdorf Goodman getting in there wasn't the big, successful thing you thought. It could be better to get into a couple local smaller boutiques who actually are invested in brands, and not just getting that product and overwhelming that business, and then that business is out of business and they have the product, and by the time they pay you, you've already had to go out and get a day job again. And that happened, literally. They sunk people. So you have to be careful. And that's what I meant about scalability, is sometimes you may even have to say, no, I can't deliver that right now. But you can start to build a relationship with them until you can deliver that. Because if you try to deliver it and it fails, that you're done with that person, and you've put, or that entity, and you've put that out there into the business community. And when someone asks, how is it to work with that company? They're going to find out that, hey, they promised all this and they didn't deliver, or it was shoddy work because it was rushed. So sometimes what seems like a great opportunity, you may not be ready for it at the time. And you may have to say no. and turn it down. Or the other great thing is going back to the conversational, you can negotiate. Maybe you can negotiate and say, hey, I'm not at that level of production yet. Could we start with, maybe I come in at this number, or maybe I just, come in and do a smaller event, and we kind of see how we work together, things like that. Because a lot of times, like especially going back to that Bergdorf Goodman example, sometimes if it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true. You walk in, you're a brand new company, they don't know you from Adam, and all of a sudden they want, 50,000 units. Yeah, sorry, something stinks there. It's too good to be true. So yeah, the same thing goes for like I said, looking for that mutual benefit and having it be realistic to what they're telling you when you're networking. So don't be afraid to network with your fellow collaborators. Just yesterday, I was in a marketing collective group, and a jeweler was talking about another jeweler who did the same kind of similar thing she did, not wanting to talk to her because she was thinking that this lady wanted to steal her designs. It's like, don't even think about that. When I had a favorite saying from one of my professors was like, jewelry gets ripped off a lot. The designs get ripped off a lot. The next thing you know, they're being manufactured in China or overseas, and it costs a lot of money. I mean, you can do a cease and desist, but it costs a lot of money to actually sue them. But what you can do is just out design them, just stay ahead of them. Make designs that are not that easily copyable. And most of the time, that's the case with individual creatives because we are so unique. So don't be afraid to network with people who are similar to you, with your people, because they can really be a valuable source of you avoiding uh, problems, especially when it comes down to your local and your state type of events and stores or retailers or entities you might be dealing with, because community is one of your best market research tools. Going to your community, you may not find it in the reviews online. Reviews are notoriously, most people who have bad experiences are the most people that write reviews. And a lot of times you'll see a ton of great reviews on a bad product because they bought those reviews. So you can't really trust reviews online. So networking is a great way of having those conversations with people, and taking opportunities and building upon them is going to be really important for growth. And if we can go to the next slide, Arlen. Oh, and dehydrated today. So, smart marketing. Again, you want to stick to your plan, but be ready to adjust. You want to schedule everything you can. You want to collect and analyze that data and use the tools that are built in to do that. It's much better to do that than have a separate platform you're using, unless you can consolidate multiple platforms and it's analyzing all at once. You want to look at engagement, because it's not just about likes. It's about who is actually commenting. And if someone comments, you want to make sure that you interact with them. It could even be that after they comment on it, say you put up a video of a certain demo of a certain product or a certain installation you had, and they comment on it. Well, you can shoot them a direct message and say, hey, would you like to get on my email list so you'll know when our next installation is happening? Or you can say, hey, I saw you commented on this beautiful painting. Here's a couple more that you may like as well. So there's no reason that those engagement, and that also, boosts you in the algorithm. Now the algorithm's always changing. And that's why you want to cover all these bases, because sometimes, it may be video it's pushing. Sometimes it may be pushing posts that are getting engagement more. Sometimes it may be uh, pushing things that have conversion, like how many times it's been shared. So you never know what that algorithm is basing things on. So you want to keep up that variety of things that you're doing. And of course, you can do research, and there's places that will tell you, what the algorithm is focusing on right now on any number of these platforms. Then you want to look at ROI, and that's return on investment. that feeds back to what I said earlier about spending that $60 to get that 100, pairs or 100 ear wires done, and how much money that can save me. That's a huge return on investment. Say I buy a $200, a second $200 torch, so I can have an assistant or come in and help me, and that's going to help me make X amount, more of a product. That's a great return on investment. But then if you look at certain platforms or certain things you may want, to outlay some money for it to put back in your business, you got to analyze it and make sure, like, what am I going to get back from this outlay of capital? Uh, that also feeds back to your budget and your profit and loss. Because say those expenses for whatever you're going to invest in, it may require 12 months of payments, or it may require one initial large outlay. Do you have that in your business account, or do you have that in your business savings, or are you going to need to seek financing for it? Now, if it's something that can, really return a lot on that investment, it may be worth that. So you always want to be considering that. You also want to consider that when you're choosing your platforms, especially because a lot of them are subscription based, and or some are, have tiers. So you want to make sure that you're not coming in at a high tier that's not going to be returning that investment. Maybe you just need the basic right now, and that's fine, and you can build up to when you need that higher tier. So some of the platforms, um, for email marketing, a flow desk. I use OmniSend. Like I said earlier, a lot of people use Shopify, or whatever website platform they have may have an email marketing component to it. Your point of sale system also may have an email marketing component to it. For instance, Square does. Not all of them do. Another one that I have someone really successful that could afford, that I know, another designer, she could afford to pay for very expensive platforms. She does everything in Meta, all free. She does everything in Meta just because it fits her. It works for her business, and look how much money she's saving. But that may not work for everybody. Of course, you got Google Business, and then Canva's a great, very user friendly. You can design brochures. You can design those nice press releases. You can design media kits. You can design your emails. Just it's so helpful. You can make a map, you can do all kinds of things with Canva. And Canva, it's amazing how much you can do in their basic version. I think they have a free version, and then they have, I think, two or three tiers. So, and there are other, programs, but Canva's one that I have experience with. SEO King is something I learned about recently. It's a website that will analyze your website, uh, and you can sign up. I think you can kind of run an analytic for free the first time, and then you can sign up so you can keep up with what important SEO is out there. Because if you really want to drive traffic not only to your social media posts, but your website, is you need to be using those terms that your customers are using when they're looking for you. A lot of times, like with hashtags and, trying to figure out what kind of language you want to use on your website or social media, um, you do want to use your own voice, your own brand voice. But if you're also not peppering it in with those SEO terms that your audience would be seeking out, you're not going to get as much organic reach. And you want to really build organic reach. I mean, there's only so much that we can do through, show by show, or event by event. We're getting, 20 emails or 50 emails or things like that. And of course, you want to keep that percolating. But if you're doing good SEO and practices of keeping it up, you want to drive. It can drive your organic traffic a lot and build your audience. And then select your social media carefully. Don't overwhelm yourself with too many platforms, and find where your audience is for your demographic. Don't just cast the net at everybody because you also can't manage all that. It's too much. And why market to a platform where your audience isn't? Something else I'll say about platforms is, uh, Etsy was an early platform for creatives to have stores. And also, Fair is, there's other ones out there, but it's a wholesale market platform, uh, which both have people have had great success with both of them. But the thing to remember about any kind of platforms like that is that if they're on there looking for a product that they want to order wholesale, or they're looking, they're on a database of artists or different entities that they could hire or purchase from. If they're on a platform that's got hundreds of other people doing the same thing you do, it's going to be real easy for them to bounce to another person because you're selling your jewelry, and there's 1,000, probably more, way more than 1,000 other jewelers on Etsy. So you're sending them to your store on Etsy, but there's no reason they're going to stay on your store. They may go, let me see if I can find a ring similar on someone else's site. You don't want to do that. You don't want to make it that easy for them. Now, Fair is a wholesale platform, so you do have a different type of buyer that is, being a little more discerning about, what's going to fit in their store, or what's going to fit, in wherever they're going to be marketing the product they're buying wholesale. Still, you're sending them to a platform that has a bunch of other people doing the same thing you do, and they could easily find other uh, uh, companies to buy from rather than yours. So you have to choose wisely about that kind of thing. And maybe you want to stick with investing in your own website and building that, and only funneling people. There's that word funnel. You've probably heard that before. Funneling people to your website, through your social media, through your email marketing. Everything you're putting out there, you want to funnel it back to your website. Everything you put out there, you want to, not always in every communication, especially social media, especially email. You don't want to send out constant like buy messages. It could be a lifestyle email of like, hey, look, I'm upgrading my studio and da da da, and just talk about that. But that doesn't mean you don't have a shop now button on the top and bottom of that email. You want to make sure you're giving people a chance to get back to your website. Um, and could you go to the next slide, please, Arlen? So again, we're using these things that you're going to track, measure, and adjust. And as you're growing, this is so important. Um, you want to forecast. That's a little different than projections. Forecasting is kind of based on your market research of what's going on in your industry. Because your projections are based on what's going on in your actual business. But forecasting new opportunities and where shortfalls may come is very important. For instance, one thing I've learned over the years in my business, and other people have learned as well, and this is not in any way, I will preface it with any way political to any party or anything like that. It's just something that happens in the flow of events, be it Christmas, be it Easter, be it graduation season. Elections do affect sales. A lot of times those weekends before elections are very, very slow because everybody's distracted. Just like, people aren't buying beachwear during Christmas. They're buying certain kind of gifts. So you want to like really look ahead at what's going on and when that's going to affect your business. Because for instance, summer, if you sell a certain type of product, or you have a certain type of business, that brick and mortar, or that people are going to be coming in during those months versus other months. So your forecasts are very important. That's also really getting back to paying attention to what's going on in your community and what's going on in the world, and taking into account different things that, may not be that big to you. Some people, they don't celebrate Christmas, but that doesn't mean that's not a great time to be selling your products as what other people are going to give as Christmas gifts. And they'll put their own personal things on their business, but you have to think about what's best for your business, not just what you do or don't do or observe. um, and could we in Google Analytics and using Excel spreadsheets and things like that are great ways to kind of establish that schedule. Like for me, I know January, February, March is slow in retail, but it's busy wholesale season. So that's where, again, those diverse revenue streams and watching what's going to be happening are important. And if we can go to the next slide. So what you want to think about is business is not set it and forget it. Like I said, those documents are living, as in they're dynamic, they're going to be updated. You're going to keep watching what's going on with your social media. Like, even if you did plan that whole month of posts, like I said, be making sure that you're checking on those posts and you're going to get notifications of who engaged, who shared, who made a comment. Because every one of those comments could end up being a sale, or it could end up being you getting into a store or something like that. So definitely, even though you have all this foundation laid, it's very dynamic. It's very dynamic. It keeps growing and changing, as in, you want to keep refining what you're doing. Maybe you want to drop a platform. Maybe you want to finding out that the space you chose is really not a great location, or maybe your signage is not proper, or you look at your social media and then you look at your website and you go, these two don't really jibe, as far as matching my brand voice or vision. So as you go along, you want to keep refining. And again, your customers are a great source of information and ideas about how you can refine your business, and ask them. Totally. You can ask them, and they love being asked questions. And that's kind of going back to a point about networking and that I wanted to make, and especially about PR and approaching that, is just like saving those buyers time by coming to them. If you're approaching editors and things like that, they love it. They are so busy that they don't have time to go out and go, oh, well, I'm looking for belts. Oh gosh, now I got to go sit down and go through all these belt designers. Instead, if they have your PR, your press release sitting right there, or your line sheet or whatever you've sent them, and they can just refer to that and use that, and they don't have to work as hard. So people love when you approach them with these types of things. So don't be shy to submit it to whoever, the right entity is that fits your business. And don't be afraid to ask. Like I said, if they say no, fine, go on to the next opportunity. And people love to be asked questions. I have gotten such great information just by asking questions. Because when you ask a question, immediately uh, you're letting that person know that you think they have some information or some knowledge that could help them, help them grow, help them analyze things, or help them just share, because people do like sharing. And so sharing and conversation, I kind of like both of those rather than saying networking. So yeah, don't think, and also too with email marketing, a lot of people feel like, oh, they don't want to see this many emails from me. Well, an interesting exercise that I did, that because I there's all over the place. People are like, oh, one email a week, one email every 2 weeks. Some people are like 5 emails a week. And I had mentioned in an earlier workshop how you need 7 points of contact before you really get that person's uh, attention, and they really start to pay more attention to your brand by those 7 contacts. you've told them a lot, so now they know a lot about you. If they're still engaging, they like you now. And if they're still engaging, that means they've built some trust with you. So you want to really foster those relationships, and you want to be open to talking to them about it, because a lot of us, we're in our studios, we're in our businesses, and we tend to just kind of get in our little space, but we really need to be out there, not only with our colleagues, we need to be out there with our customers and asking questions, and not being afraid to approach press, as like I said, half the time you're doing them a favor. The same thing with buyers. These like those wholesale online platforms came about because someone saw a business opportunity, because the traditional method was buyers would have to fly cross country to some expensive wholesale show. They're walking the show, getting exhausted, they get overwhelmed, they've got hotel, fees, they've got food, all this stuff. Now, guess what? If they're just sitting in their office in their shop, and you send them your line sheet and your what your brand identity, some stuff about, your bio, whatever, and they're just sitting in their shop, and they can just order from you like that. They don't have to go to that wholesale show. So again, you're saving them time. You're actually helping them by approaching them yourself. So don't be afraid to do that, because like I said, you're actually helping them. And when people say no, I'm glad I just mentioned this, referring to asking questions. When people say no, that's actually a great opportunity to get some feedback, as into why they said no. It could be that, oh, your price point just doesn't fit my store. Now, that does not mean you lower your prices. They just told you what the real reason is. It doesn't fit their store. So there's nothing wrong with your prices. It just means you go to a different store. Or, why didn't you book us for this fantastic installation that we're going to do in your space? And they may say, well, the installation and what your brand is representing, or your voice or your organization, doesn't really fit with our message. Oh, okay. Well, that means that I should more carefully research the places I approach, because, if I had researched more, maybe I would have known that this was not the right opportunity for me to pursue. So doing those that due diligence when you're trying to get yourself out there is very important, because I've also seen people partner with or sponsors or any of those types of things with people that it was just very unsuccessful, as far as like, why is that business being shown with this business? Or if you don't do your research, you may find out there's messaging or imaging or any number of things that entity is doing that doesn't jive with the message you want to put out there. So you want to make sure to do your research about that, or else you might be included in something that you don't want to be, and now your audience has seen that and is going to associate that with you. So again, you want to think about what's working and what's not, what needs to be adjusted. I can't say that enough. You got to be adaptable. When I was talking to Jessica earlier about my little tech problem that I had. It was a twofold problem, including my car getting in on it, that we have to be adaptable. I had to change my schedule a lot past 2 days in order to get my car repaired, but that's going to lead me to being able to, keep my business going. I had a platform that just I couldn't figure out. It failed on me. I couldn't stay up until 2 in the morning working on it. So I found a solution. I found a workaround. And here we are, with a PowerPoint or whatever, instead of a uh, uh, we're here with a PDF instead of a PowerPoint. I sound like I stayed up till 2 in the morning, but anyway, you got to be adaptable and think outside the box, and not panic. There's been so many times where I was like, oh my God, I'm in a panic. I can't get this done. Instead, start thinking, what can I do to solve this situation? That old saying again, those old sayings, think outside the box. I immediately said, well, I know there's Google Sheets, or I know there's this, or I know there's that. Which one is going to work the best for me to solve this problem right now without staying up till 2 in the morning trying to get it solved, which would therefore affect my next day. So yeah, I stayed up a little later than I wanted to, but I didn't stay up till 2 in the morning. I was still able to get it done and be ready for today. So, like I was saying, I spoke to Jessica about it earlier, and I was like, this is a really good example of how we have to be adaptable and keep a even keel. We're not perfect, and this is where I will say again about taking care of yourself. A lot of people are throwing around terms like wellness and mindfulness and things like that, and they're important because a lot of times creatives, especially those of us who are one person operations, or we are managing the business, even if we have employees or contractors, we're still the central person managing all that. And if you break down, well, that whole system breaks down. And if you get overwhelmed, that system gets overwhelmed because you're not going to be able to run it as effectively as possible. So build that into your business. I could almost say make it like a wellness report instead of one of your financial reports. It's like, okay, this week these are the things I'm going to do to take care of myself. I'm going to go for a 15-minute walk this day, or the next day I'm going to get a massage, or the next weekend, or whatever. Plan stuff like that in for yourself, just like you plan your business. Because return on investment, I'll go back to ROI. You're going to get return on investment for taking that break. And hey, you just landed a new wholesale account. Hey, it's time to go get a massage. It's also rewarding yourself. So build that into your business as well. I know we've spoke in these past 4 workshops about a ton of tasks, and it's a lot to take in. But as you, and I know you, it's wonderful to have that go get it feeling and want to jump in and really start to hammer down on all these tasks. But from the beginning, you need to also keep that even keel of building in, taking care of yourself, because then it'll just become part of your business plan, how you operate. And it won't become something that's out of the norm, where it's like, oh gosh, now I gotta, take time to plan to go take a break. It's like, no, it's just built into your daily, weekly, monthly, whatever operations. For instance, a lot of times I will use a show trip. I'm actually going to do that at the end of May. It's my birthday, and I have a show that weekend. And I'm going to stay, it's in Santa Fe, and I'm going to stay up north and go to one of my favorite places ever, the Rio Grande Gorge, and stay up there a couple nights as a break and as a reward, because I will have just completed 2 big business trips, and so I'm going to end up the month with a nice trip for myself. And that's the kind of things you need to build in. And even in between those times, there's going to be a day where I just have a me day. I go to one of our lovely hot springs, or I go walk by the river, and I make take the time to make like a more intricate, difficult dinner, but I'll have wonderful leftovers. There's all kinds of ways to just make sure you're getting in your take care of you time. And also computer breaks. I know you can tend to, I'll sit at my desk and just sit. And some people have smartwatches and things like that. That's another great tool to help you stay on track with taking care of yourself. Also, smartwatches can be hooked up to any number of apps. So even if you're out on that walk and some buyer does get back to you with a huge order, and you happen to look at it, or you get an alert, and you go, oh my gosh, wow, when I get back from my walk, I got this great email to send. but you finished your walk because you're already out there and you got to get back. So yeah, I just want to really hammer down on that as is taking care of yourself. And it is 12:30, so we could break till 1 and then come back for some questions and answers, or I can just go on with any other tips that I can think of that could help. Yeah, in fact, I'll take a look at that networking workshop and see if there's some more stuff I can pull from that to talk about, because that's just, I mean, people have built their whole businesses on just interacting with people. So everybody want to come back at 1 o'clock?
What do
Does
you
that sound
think?
good?
I'm good either way. We could continue or we can stop and come back, whatever you guys want to do.
How's everybody feel about continuing?
Could we have, I could be down to continue, but could we have like a 5 minute break at least?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's have a shorter break.
Much.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do 10 minutes. Thank you. That's a great suggestion.
So we'll be back here at like 12:38.
Yep. Sounds good.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Ah, that felt good. Thanks, Mayo. Oh God.
It's all right. Mayowa. You can ask as many times as you want. Mayowa.
And I love saying it. It's like every time I love saying it. And it's so funny because I was just thinking, I started laughing, which was great to have a good laugh. That I was just talking about taking care of ourselves, and you were like, I'm going to break to stretch. And I'm like, yes, he's perfect. And that's the cool thing. I mean, sometimes we need our peers, to remind us to do those things. Yeah. So, yeah. Because I can tend to be a person who will just keep going, keep going, keep going. And I was saying to Jessica earlier, we spoke for a bit before the uh, workshop. I was saying to her earlier, after the few days I've had, and with the big trip I have coming up, that and having solved these problems and having flexibility to the rest of my day and to foster create or more productivity, I'm gonna go soak today in one of our wonderful hot springs. I was like, this is a time for me to reset, because yeah, I had some car repairs going on, and my last couple days got like completely turned on their heads. And so I said, this is a perfect time for me to reset and get ready for the rest of my week and my next week. So thank you.
What hot springs do you like?
I'm sorry.
Which hot springs do you like to go to?
Oh, I was just thinking about that. Today I love soaking outside. So today I will treat myself to either the Hoosier or Blackstone outside. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I love Riverbend, but it's so busy now that the only time I'll go to Riverbend is when I can do a private soak.
Mm.
'Cause it's just so busy, if I really want. And then if I want like complete like peaceful meditation, the Charles new tubs, oh, they've been refurbished beautifully. Beautifully, but it's a bath house, so you're gonna hear, noises and things. And I mean, I love them all. I've got something great to say about them all. I used to work at Blackstone too, and I used to work
Really?
at La Paloma. I only wish that Lisa could get that place back open. La Paloma is my absolute favorite, period. I mean, I love them all for different reasons, but La Paloma's not open right now because I love the artesian ones, and I do go to Indian Springs because of the artesian water. Um, so yeah, different places. So that's a good question. Where should I go today?
I love
What did you call that
You
one?
did-
Charles. Sorry, Abby, I didn't mean to.
No,
Oh,
no, go ahead.
Charles?
What was it called? Charles.
The Charles. It's called the Charles
Oh,
Motel,
just
I
the
think is the whole name.
right.
And uh I knew Kathy and the previous owner, and she passed away, and her daughter took it over very lovingly, has restored the rooms. It's this beautiful intricate tile work on all the different tubs, and the meditation tubs are great because they're just big enough for just you, and it has this beautiful, I don't know who designed it, but it has this perfect angle where you can lay back at this angle and relax your head and everything and still be in the water up to your neck. So those are really fun. But yeah, we're just lucky. We're very lucky to have it. And when I go up to the Rio Grande Gorge, I'm going to hike to one of my favorite hot springs because I love, of course, going to them outside, especially in nature, for
Yes.
sure.
Which one's up at the gorge? Are they? I can't remember which ones
One
are up
called
there.
Black Rock that you can still get to pretty easily. Unfortunately, Manby got completely overwhelmed and damaged by the pandemic crowds that came out. But there is a Earthship, which I was going to originally build when I moved to New Mexico and live in. There's an Earthship there that you can rent because it's a private neighborhood and private road. So they closed it to the public because people ruined it. But if you stay in this Earthship, you can have access to the trailhead. So we're going to stay in that Earthship. And that's, like I said, been a goal for years.
Was that the one that was closed?
Yes.
What is that one called?
Manby, Manby. It's also
Cool.
called Stagecoach.
Okay.
So now the only way to go is either kayak or, raft, come in from the river. The hike along the river is horrific. It's 6 miles of boulders, poison ivy, and you don't want to deal with that. Bugs. Um, and then the other way is to either know someone who lives there or rent this Earthship, and you can
Is the
get.
Earthship right by it?
It is. You can walk to the
Cool.
trailhead from the Earthship.
Awesome.
Or
Awesome.
you
Good.
can, it's a distance. You could drive your car from the Earthship to the trailhead as well. Um, but yeah, you could walk too. And it's a
Awesome.
trail. It goes down in the gorge. It's beautiful. You'll be stopping a million times because it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I like Gila Hot Springs, which is also about 3 hours from Truth or Consequences. It's right below the cliff dwellings. And that is a
Okay.
wonderful place because you can camp right. My favorite spot, you're right next to the hot springs and you're right next to the river. So you can go from the hot springs, walk through your campsite, and go get in the river and cool off. So that's a great one too, up there.
Awesome. That's amazing.
Yep. So Abby,
Did
are
I,
you here in TRC then?
no, I'm in Albuquerque. I was at your networking thing at Arts Hub.
Oh, great. Oh, thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I was excited. And then there was one last weekend that got rescheduled, I think, or that was this.
Actually, the one that is at Arts Hub that's going to be coming up is called Nuts and Bolts. And it is a workshop for people who want to produce events or craft shows or anything like that. Because I've been doing it for a large festival for a long time, and I've also been a participant, as an artist and vendor and whatever in a lot of different shows. And I have so much information of mistakes that they make and things that they don't do that endanger themselves as well as the participants and attendees. So that one's a nuts and bolts workshop about how to produce events. Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, and then I did after a traumatizing relationship, I was like, well, I'm gonna go on my own solo trip. So I went on a hot springs trip up to Utah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was gonna do it here, but it was during that year where we had fires a couple years
Oh
back
yeah.
in the Gila and stuff, and and those were the ones I wanted to go to. So I went to Utah. And
Hmm.
so my goal is to do the hot springs here in New Mexico. So I
Yeah.
like to hike and camp and
Oh my gosh. Well, we got to talk because I
yeah.
know a lot of hot springs that you
Yeah,
could.
we'll be best friends here. I'm excited.
Yes, yes. And in fact, I could always use buddies to go with as well.
Ooh, perfect. Yeah, and female buddies are really the key is I'm like, yes, I want this. So yeah, awesome. I'm excited now.
Yeah, there's some others in the Gila. I've been to the one in the Jemez that has the fish in it. Have you heard about that one?
I don't think so.
Yeah, there's one in the Jemez, and it was, oh, even back then it was horribly overused. I mean, people using the bathroom and the trees around it, and oh,
Oh,
too many people. But it has someone stocked goldfish in it. It's the cooler tub, the hotter tub of pool, they wouldn't live in, but it's the cooler tub, and someone put these goldfish in there. And so you get in, and then the goldfish will start eating the dead skin off of
oh
you.
my God.
And at first, they're on your feet, and you're like, "Oh, this is so great!" The goldfish. But then the next thing you know, they're like all over you.
Oh no, no, no.
It's still so much fun to experience. Then you go get the hot
Definitely.
tub, and you get the goldfish. It's all right.
Yes, yes. I like it. Oh my God, that's
Then
crazy.
there's,
There was one in Utah that was like that. They were, I think, they were colorful fish.
huh?
It was very odd, and there was like six or seven of soaking. One of them was the best one, and then the other ones were kind of lower temperature. But one of them had a bunch of fish, and then there's a lake in Ouray,
Oh,
and that has like marine fish or something.
whoa.
Yeah, someone did the same thing. So maybe we have to do a fish tour. I
Oh,
did try to go to the one at Battleship Rock where you park at Battleship and then walk.
uh-huh.
That was a very unsuccessful trip. It was
I'm trying
horrible.
to think which one that is.
I don't remember what it's called. I think there's another way to get there, but that was supposedly the easiest and not for us. So
Yeah, yeah,
we'll talk about it.
yeah, yeah. Well, we're lucky to have all of them here.
They're so healing, and the different minerals can do different things. There's one, I can't remember where it is right now, but you can rent a room and each tub has different minerals in it for
Yeah,
different,
yeah.
yeah.
Ojo Caliente's tubs are like that. They have like a iron one. They're natural hot springs, but the different ones, that they built the bathhouses, like one is the iron rich one, and one has lithium, which is fun. And then there's another one that has mud. It's a mud hot springs pool, so you can get the mud on you and let it dry and pull out toxins, and then you can rinse off in the shower. And it's got like the sodium chloride room with like baking soda type of content. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of great ones out here. So we're lucky to be creatives and have all this good healing places we can go around us.
Yeah, definitely. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
also Ojo does free bathing on your birthday. So it's
They
Oh
great.
still
my
do that?
God.
So you can a good way to
That's
invite your
cool.
friends to a party with that. And you can bring your own food and drink too, as long as you don't bring glass. So
Yeah, yeah.
a good all
Oh,
day option.
That's fun. Yeah, I didn't know if they still did that because things changed so much. And they did
Mm,
change owners too. So I'm
mm.
glad they're still doing that.
Yeah, it's a good time. I mean, I go to 10,000 waves up here, which is not natural, but I feel like what you pay for like a private soak is 2 day passes at Ojo, you know. So it's
oh,
definitely worth it. It's obviously a little further, but and the Ojo in Santa Fe is not bad either. It's smaller, but still a good option.
Oh, thanks for telling me that because I had wondered about both of those places. And
there's
10,000
two.
Waves fascinated me because of the Japanese
So nice, yeah. It's
style. Yeah, and they have one of those in it's not called 10,000 Waves, but they have a hot spring in the Jemez that has a Japanese bathhouse as well.
yeah,
It's right next to
it's a
the
good
pool.
time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and I love that idea. So thanks for telling me that because sometimes like when I go to Santa Fe for these shows, I don't have the time to go all the way up to the gorge to the hot springs. So that's the way I can.
Actually,
So
one more tip with 10,000 waves, if you get something called like they have a special discount card, and if
oh,
you bring a friend with a Santa Fe license during the week, it's 40% off all services.
40%. That's really
Yeah.
great.
So that brings it down to like Ojo prices. But it's
Wow,
only I think Monday through Thursday. And then even if you don't have a local license and you're from New Mexico, I think it's like 20%.
nice. That's great that they do that. You know, you got to take care of your local community because they really are your base. You know, speaking of these different hot springs businesses around the state and around the West, quite a few of them, and there is a local one, maybe two that I would say, have alienated their community base. And that's not smart to do because tourism could drop off at any moment. Tourism is highly volatile. And that's why being in tourism-based businesses that are really, really heavily reliant on just tourism is really is sticky because tourism can uh, change at any moment the for any number of reasons too. So I think the businesses that have kind of alienated their local base have made mistakes. Let's just say, you know, some people have places have eliminated the bulk cards you can get, like you can buy 10 soaks or 6 soaks or whatever at once. They've eliminated that. You know, one place did implement uh, I think it's a book within an hour and your soak is cheaper. But sometimes that's hard to do. Other times it could be really, you know, great. And then, but that wasn't like a locals thing. It was just, you know, I guess it is kind of a locals thing. And honestly, they should have marketed that way because then it would have felt like, hey, we're providing something for locals, not just this special, you know, that's for everyone. Um, because yeah, it's really a lot of people, and it's not just me, you know, because I keep my ear on this, you know, the scuttlebutt and whatever. There's a lot of the local community who really feel alienated by quite a few of our hot springs businesses, and that's unfortunate. Because if that tourism falls off and we feel alienated, then what are you going to do? Where are you going to pull your customers from? Yep. So I looked at the networking worksheets from my last from the workshop we just did, Abby, and it's got some good stuff in there. So I'm gonna include it in the package that I'm gonna send. That's gonna have the list of resources. And one of the worksheets I think that's important is it's a tracker worksheet for your networking. Because many of us can fall victim to this. Like we do make a good connection and then we don't follow up on it in enough time. I've had people where I missed a really good opportunity because I spent too long to follow up. And they were like, "Oh no, well we already gave that to someone else," and I'm like, "Crap," you know. It's like that was, you know, missed opportunities for not following up in the right amount of time. But you know, you can forget if you've got 3 or 4 different people that you've networked with, and you feel like, wow, you know, we could really work well together. You want to make sure to follow up. Like even if you don't start working together immediately, it's just following up and kind of keeping what you all talked about, the connection you made, kind of fresh. You know, oh, it was great meeting you last week, and you know, we talked about X, Y, and Z. I'd love to have a more in-depth conversation about it. You asked me if I could provide you X, Y, and Z, and when we have that conversation, I'll have it ready for you. And you know, so it could be a long game, but sometimes the longer games pay off much bigger. Uh, than the shorter games. But if you don't follow up, you don't have a chance. Or you follow up after they've literally forgotten you, forgotten what you talked about. You know, yeah. So it's a great resource to go. Okay, you know, this week yeah, I'm gonna follow up with these three people that I really feel I jive with. And that's the other thing too is thanking people who do. Uh, Give you some sort of information or opportunity or things like that, and definitely like I was saying, sharing, being open to sharing with each other. But and that's the same thing with your customers. For instance, in your automated things that like features people put on their websites, you can automate thank you, follow up emails, You can also automate emails that will even suggest products similar to what they purchased. I mean, it's all in a sequence. You're going to spread it out, but like Mother's Day could be coming up, and maybe they bought something over Christmas, and you send out a follow-up that says, "Hey, this necklace you bought over Christmas time, Mother's Day is coming up. Maybe you'd be interested in these styles or something like that." So you can automate, abandoned cart automations, people who just bounce off your website. There's ways you can get your website back in front of them. So things like that, you want to do, and you always want to thank people. And because then, what I was going to say about email marketing, glad I remembered this. Uh, Email marketing is a lot of people are very uncomfortable with sending 3 emails a week. Usually you have to send 3 emails before they open even one of them. And that's even going to be lucky. Because the first email, yeah, I want to check them out, but I'm busy. The second email, oh, darn, yeah, I meant to do that. I'm still busy. The third email, they're like, okay, yes, I got to check on this. Bam, they click it, because Mother's Day is coming up. So they do click it. So even if they are in a shopping mode, but, just haven't, this email wasn't time or whatever, I had to run out the door, those 3 emails, pretty much only one of them is going to get opened. So some people, they send 5 emails a week. So what we did, it was very interesting, and again, market research, and made it fun, is I did a survey, and I sent it out to my list, and it had questions about, how often would you like to hear from my business, as in my emails? How often would you like to hear from me online? How often would you like to see me online? Like literally my face, because this was back when I wasn't, showing my face as much. And what else did I ask? I asked them to visit my website and give me any feedback. And so I did market research with the direct people I'm marketing with. And they told me how many times, they want to hear from me. And they told me, yes, I want to see more videos. Yes, I want to see you more. And emails, I was surprised they were like 2 to 3, because I gave them, I said 1, 2 to 3, 3 to 5, I gave them different options, and they said 2 to 3, and I was like, wow, this other teaching that I've heard or suggestion was correct, is that it takes about 3 emails for them to open one. I've also seen that borne out with the yoga festival I work for, because they use Keep, which is a CRM system, a customer retention management system, and you can see through the email automations, you can see who opened it, you can see who clicked it, and so it tells you like what they actually did. So just because someone opened it doesn't mean they clicked anything in it, but if they clicked something, that means they engaged with that email a little more. Or you can also confirm whether or not someone received an email. Maybe it bounced and you didn't even know, or yeah, so you can do that with your emails too. And that's a good way to get feedback about like how many are getting opened. Then you can see like, wow, I had to send 3 of these, 3 emails, and it took that particular person or this segment, because you can segment in your email marketing programs, your platforms, and you can see how many people only clicked, or how many clicked and opened, and so that can help you figure out how many emails you do need to send per week. And like I said, you can poll people, and that also is a great thing to do on social media, because that helps get you engagement on social media when you're asking questions. And that's a good way to get your uh, your audience to engage with you. Because I sent it out to specific people, and then I also put it on social media, because I don't, a lot of my friends are following my business, but then there's a lot of people that I may not have ever met who are following my business. And it was so funny one time at a show, I think it was last year. um, there was a woman who was a repeat customer, and she was from Texas, and they were hoping I would be at that show that I try to do every year. And she said, she goes, yeah, I stalk you online. And I was like, what does that mean? She's like, I saw your event posted, so I knew you would be here. She goes, but I watch everything you do. And I'm like, wow. I don't know if she's just hitting the like button. I asked her, I was like, oh, did we talk? And she's like, no, no, I just stalk you. So she's just watching what I'm doing and then, ends up paying attention enough to come to a show because I put up a Facebook event about it. And here's a repeat customer, finding me again. But um, so you never know. She's obviously, a loyal customer, but she's just watching me. She's reading the emails, she's watching the posts. But if I'm not doing those, I'm gonna fall off the radar for her. She's not gonna know where to find me. So yeah, that engagement is really important and fun. I have so much fun interacting with my customers. And I do market research right in my booth. I'm like, oh, where are you guys from? Because they want to know where I'm from and where I'm living and, my unique lifestyle. So I ask them where they're from and, or are you traveling from wherever or, or where are you staying? Or, they'll start offering out because they want to talk. They'll be, oh, we're here hiking or no, we're here mainly shopping or for theater or music. And then you can know like whether you're doing a show in Boulder, Santa Fe, El Paso, wherever you are, it will that's market research for letting you know what those people are traveling to that area for. And also, for instance, in Santa Fe, I love the fact that there's a lot of local support for the arts. I, have done shows in Santa Fe for well over, gosh, I can't even believe how long now, decades. And I was always so pleased with the amount of locals that support and, multiple times support the local artists. And the same thing goes for Albuquerque. In Albuquerque, I have shows that I do, and I've had the same people come back every show. And sometimes they may not buy something, but they still come back and say hi, and that's still, or they'll see me at another show. And part of the reason that I'm going to do the nuts and bolts show promoter and event promoter workshop is because one of my goals in working with Creative Industries Division and other nonprofits is to get more high quality shows produced in New Mexico. We have such a high percentage of amazing artists who live here, national, like huge artists, and of course, huge artists in our state. But we don't have enough good shows. We have to go to Colorado or Texas or California or, otherwise, we don't have any wholesale shows here. We used to have two different wholesale shows here where New Mexico businesses could buy from other New Mexico businesses and people could come, buyers for, retail buyers could come from Colorado or Texas or California and buy New Mexico products that they know are vetted New Mexico products. And, if it's a handmade market, it's been vetted that they're handmade. And a lot of people who just throw up shows, I mean, the shows have no insurance. They're not jurying properly. They don't have a transparent jury process because shows like applying for shows and getting turned down is another good way to get feedback. There's some shows that they may love your work, but they turn you down basically because your booth isn't up to par. Or it could be vice versa. Oh, your booth is beautiful, but your work is not matching, your brand or that's low quality. So shows can actually, and promoters and event managers can give you good feedback as to, why you maybe didn't get in. And it could just be that like our crowd is, you're not going to be popular with our crowd and we don't want to have you here if you're not, going to have a chance at making money. I mean, I do that when I jury for the yoga festival. And there's people who email and say, hey, why didn't I get in? And I'll tell them, I'll say, hey, your product is beautiful. I said, but it is just not going to fly for our yoga festival. Like we can't, because of the venues that we show in, like this time we're going to be at the Hilton, which is a hotel, which is a brand. They want to protect their brand. So we can't have anything with cannabis leaves on it. We can't have any THC, including type of products, but I've been at other shows where they do allow that. We can have CBD, and that's per hotel rules. That's not necessarily what the festival would want to do. And that's the kind of thing that you need to know, and that's the kind of thing that's also going to brand a show. People may be walking through a show having a great time, and then all of a sudden they see someone with cannabis leaves, and I have no problem with cannabis, but it's gonna give a certain impression. So you have to decide, does this fit my show? Does this fit my crowd? For whatever different thing that you want to include as far as jurying. So some of these, like I said, some vendors, they may have a clothing line. This one clothing line that we turned down, all the clothes were black. And it was yoga wear, it was well designed, but everything was black. And for instance, if you practice Kundalini yoga, you wear all white. And it's very like that could be very popular in New York, in LA, this sleek black yoga wear. Not Sedona. Our crowd is not going to buy that. So I turn them down. They email me, ask why. And I say, your look is just not going to fit our crowd, and you're not going to sell a lot. And your brand is beautiful, but that's the only reason we turned you down. So shows, applying to shows or events, or, like I said, being turned down can be a good opportunity to get some feedback as to, okay, I shouldn't, this black yoga wear line, I got to go for urban markets if I want to sell it, not Sedona, not Boulder, those are not going to be your markets, for something like that. So that's so important. Let's see what else. Trying to think of any. There's so much. Oh my gosh. I just love what I do. I really do. I'm glad to share with you all. And yeah, I don't know if you got any more questions, and I'll get everything together to email you. And there are the follow-ups. I mean, I'm sorry, the one-on-ones that are available. For instance, me and Jessica are going to follow up probably in a couple weeks, or even more, because she wants time for her and her husband to review all the information, because it's a lot of information. And you have three different ways you can absorb it. You have the handout, you have the presentations, and you have the recordings. So however you want to do it, if you want to strike while the iron's hot and talk to me in the next few days, I'll be leaving on not next few days, pretty much tomorrow or Saturday. So if you want a one-on-one quick, I'm available tomorrow or Saturday, and otherwise it would be after. I'll actually give you a date, and I'll put this in the email too, the date, and I'll also put like times that are good for me, and days that are good for me, so for us to have slots where we could meet. So I will not be back until the 8th of May. So it would be after the 8th of May if we want to do one-on-ones, if we don't do it tomorrow or Saturday. And please take advantage of that if you want, because I know everybody's got such specialized businesses that that could be really good, especially when it comes to things like I was mentioning, people throwing up shows without liability insurance. And, there's specific things that are very specific to businesses that can be very important to make sure they're done, so you're protected and your customers are protected. So what'd you think, Abby?
I'm sad I missed all the others.
Oh, oh well, no, you can watch the recordings.
Yeah, so did you already send the paperwork stuff out? And then like I'll just get it all at one time, or?
I have been sending it weekly. I didn't send it the one for today yet because of my technical problem last night. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all four into one email so everybody can access it. In one email, you'll have all the presentations, all four of them. And then Arlen is going to help me get the PowerPoints, the Zoom recordings, excuse me, to you, because they are large files. So I'm working on my end, and he's working on his end to figure out the best way for us to have them to be viewable for
Hmm.
you. Because yeah, there are very large files.
You-
Of
I don't
course.
know. I don't know anything about computers, but people often do links. I don't know if that helps.
What did you say? Send links?
Yeah, like a link if you post it online and then share the link with us or something. I don't know if that's easier or helpful.
I think that's what Arlen was his plan was to go
Seems
ahead and
like he knows what he's doing.
oh he does. He's amazing.
I know nothing.
Him
I'm
and
gonna have
Johnny.
so many questions for the follow-up.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Please, that'd be great. And I'm so glad to provide those kind of you have that basis to go back and refer to. Because there's a million different people out there teaching, small business, entrepreneur stuff, but with creative businesses, we have such specific needs uh that I feel like I'm really glad that CID was invented. I think every state should have it because, every state has a bunch of creatives, but I'm really glad that it's here and it's able to be a resource for us. And I'm really glad to be working with them. I'm still thrilled to be working with Arts Hub. That was such a wonderful Wednesday. I was like, woo, I was high.
Yeah, the whole fellowship. Yeah, and we just had one yesterday again with an author.
Okay.
And oh my God, it was the same thing. I was just like, oh my God, we're just like buzzing afterwards and everyone's talking and so excited. So I w I was just working in corporate for 10 years after I got my degree. And
Wow.
so I'm kind of new into the Albuquerque art world. And it's been a little overwhelming because I'm having a hard time managing, like you said, all the contacts and the networking. And like, I'm having a hard time with the money. Like I have so many questions about how to pay yourself and pay the company and keep it separate. And
Hmm.
it's just so much and overwhelming. So I'm so excited to have contacts and some resources because I just felt kind of alone and floundering. And there's so many young people. We had talked about it in the class that are trying to do this, but then they're getting discouraged because all they talk about is becoming famous. You don't talk about shows, you don't talk about networking, you don't talk about emails, you don't talk about websites, and I mean, like I said, I took a 10-year kind of break since I was in the education, but I can't imagine that they've touched too much onto this. So yeah, just filling that kind of gap and like meeting you just kind of, I don't know, it just was like, oh, this is all meant to be how it's supposed to be, especially because you're a jeweler and then the just the creative side and then bridging that gap. There's just so many things. So I'm really excited.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Thank
Because
you so much for what you're doing to help.
oh, you're very welcome. Yeah. What do you got?
So, again, I appreciate this, and I figured it might be helpful to reflect back some of the things that I thought were really useful because I don't know if you get that feedback.
Yeah, and we're gonna do a survey too. You'll get. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that you just did a really great job of distilling a lot of information into 4 short sessions. Um, I felt like you covered so much, and I think just having your perspective as an artist, I think you started the first session, you talked about how a lot of the business resources weren't really focused to your unique needs. Um, yeah, and even hearing some of the unique um, intersection things that happen with the intersection of arts and business. Even talking about like like how tariffs especially are affecting your business, especially if you're um, just thinking a lot about the importance of and whether or not I actually implement these, but just having that weekly plan, um, having that sort of ongoing strategy for like long-term success rather than just sort of I think because I sort of come from a startup world and And you know, a lot of artists are just resilient and creative. Sometimes we're just getting to the next thing. We're like, oh, whoa, we sold out, but we don't know what we sold out of or what went first
Or why or to who?
or why or who our customer is.
Mhm. Like, how do
And
we keep that going? Yeah.
yeah, because you know, whenever I have worked in marketing and analytics and social media, I've always done it for big brands that I didn't really have like, uh, you know, it was at a big scale, and I didn't always do a good job of connecting what I was doing for them to what I could do for my own
Ah,
business. Um, and then one of the things that you touched on that I felt like that I felt like maybe we didn't even hear the flags loudly enough is just like what happens when your audience, your platform, your data is owned by someone who's monetizing you, you know, like your Shopify, your Meta, whatever. And
yeah.
even just because you can't really get your customers off Meta, you know, like you were talking about your friend who doesn't spend any money outside of the platform. But
Hmm.
if Meta goes away overnight, her stuff is not diversified at all. And
Yeah.
also, depending on your like emotional or like ethical positioning, you might not want to be making Mark Zuckerberg richer. Um,
Oh, yeah. And look at all those TikTok, they built up so many followers on TikTok, and it's like almost every week they're worried about whether or not TikTok's going to go away. Uh,
right.
so exactly. And I seem to remember, I don't know if you still can, um, but I think what you're saying will still be true no matter what.
What
Is you
platform you're on, yeah.
can download your whole Facebook thing, but I don't think you can download your followers. I don't know.
No, but with email marketing, because those or even like a lot of CRMs,
Mhm.
they make it difficult, but it's a lot easier to download and move your followers around if you have something like an email.
Yes.
And there's other tools like you can even use like Substack and other sort of less markety ones, but you might lose some of the analytical power.
Hmm.
But at least I feel like I'm coming around to email more and more just because I'm like, yeah, I know,
Direct.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
also know hopefully that like my email marketing company isn't going to sell try and like sell my email list to or sell them stuff just because they signed up. But whereas like
Exactly.
on Meta, you know, they're going to throw ads at your followers
Be
and
watching everything you do.
right.
And they're going to try and profit off everything you do. They're watching how many emails you're sending, what content's in those emails, what links. You're
Mm,
totally right. And then, like you said, you may not want to be associated with that. With some people, selling their Teslas, they don't want to be associated with that. That doesn't fit their personal beliefs system anymore. So that's a really good point because for instance, I had a weird sign in from Phoenix on my business account on Facebook, and they signed me out, which I'm glad. But now I am like, and I actually went to find out if it was a legitimate Facebook email saying that happened. Turns out it is. So I got that far but I haven't gotten as far as signing back in yet because I want to be very, very careful that I don't all of a sudden get locked out of it or, like you're saying, lose all those followers. But also if I'm got hacked and they're putting out all this horrible stuff right now, I also want to know that. But even as much as I'm concerned about that, because I could remedy that. People know people get hacked. But if I jump the gun and lose my entire page for trying to rush and not do this, take care of this properly, I could lose my whole profile, my whole page.
yeah.
Um, so you're
And
right. Yeah, we really need that to build that one-on-one connection where it's not dependent on social media. It's not
right.
dependent on Shopify or Omnisend or anything that I use.
And I'm not to be that person that's like, oh, big tech, but I do have some specific examples of where like the algorithm is go may unfairly target some people who are trying to get their content out in the
Hmm.
most innocuous ways just because the machine learning isn't quite figured out, you know? So it's like there's just some ways that like these platforms are not perfect. So it's also a good idea to, you know, not that it's yet another thing to worry about, but like it's a, yeah. And so I just wanted to say I appreciate it. And I see Arlen's hand is up, so I will just be quiet for a sec.
Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate you. You've had such wonderful insights. And I took some notes. I really appreciate it because I love learning from, participants. It's an exchange. So yeah, I appreciate that. So what
I just wanted to add to what Mayowa was saying is Mayowa. I said it right the first time. Um is that each platform is their whole sole obligation is to keep people on their platform. So if you're trying to drive people off of Instagram, then Instagram's gonna have a problem with that. And or if you're trying to drive them to even going to your website, driving them to an email, really you even seen, and Instagram even came out talking about this not too long ago, is that they actually shadow ban most content. You probably only get the average of 5% of your viewers watching it without putting an ad behind a post, because they push for those ads. Because I mean, if we give you go on Instagram, you get famous, viral, whatever you use, or whatever term you want to look at it as, and you get 1 million people. If they showed that your content, everything that you post to 1 million people each time, it'd be no reason for Walmart or anybody else to run ads to get to reach the people that they reach. So it really is a business behind the whole social media piece and when ads started popping up during 2020, because you didn't see ad too many times, you didn't really even have a whole ad. You really couldn't even touch an ad, right? I mean, it used to be really behind the scenes where most business profiles, you had to be a specific business profile to be able to get access to the ad manager. But now, every platform has an ads manager, just like every game has DLC. They find a way to be able to find the market and capitalize on it. And it's definitely one of those things where if you're on social media, it's good to let somebody know what you're doing and where they can find you, but it's always battling against the platform itself to get your audience to where they need to be at. So I do like what y'all brought up with the email marketing, because that is one thing that everybody has been pushing to, is because you get to own, you pretty much own most of your email, unless Google want to shut you down, right? If you got Google or Microsoft, so you still are in somebody's hands, just not in somebody who can make a decision so quick, right? And then leading into, I think it really goes back to, we all have to have our own website. I think the website is going to be, and the more you get to kind of control that, because that's still something that you can own today, depending on if you go through the right people and programs. But you'll be able to drive them. You can put your content on there, and always been pushing that for a lot of content creators that I know that could be okay. I'm sorry, I might have to switch to a hotspot real quick. That that could be, I don't even know where I was going with it because the email just threw me off. I'm so sorry, but pretty much own your own platforms, even if it is in the digital space, because I think that's where one thing that we are lacking is that digital real estate.
Yeah, yeah. And I think uh that's probably why so many people I see that I'm like, how are you even able to do that? They're posting sometimes 3 and 4 times a day. It could be a reel, it could be a story, it could be a post. But now I realize because like so few people may be seeing any of that. So yeah, that the same thing with the emails, with like 3 to 5 emails before anybody may open one of them, even if they know you, even if they like your brand, and do shop with you and intend to. Sometimes it takes that third email before they finally go, okay, let me go ahead and order this now. um so that's a really good point. It's a really good point because we have no idea what they're doing. Like I was saying, the algorithm, what they're basing stuff on is we have no idea. And of course they're going to push, yes, ads over us. And then Pinterest, I had an ad manager. I see your hand, Abby. I'm going to be quiet in just a sec. I was working with them, but the amount of money they want you to come in at is, and he was very specific and honest, and I was glad he was, is he was like, look, your ads are not going to be worth it unless you run this much, because this many ads gets this many views. And he's like, once you set up your business account, you'll be, you can see all that yourself. And I was like, okay, well, I'll call you when I'm ready to invest that much. Um, but yeah, yeah. So Abby, what you got?
We're talking about emails. You in my class, you were talking about using Shopify for the website. Are you still,
Oh
is that
yeah.
what okay. And then so I had taken this other boot camp thing, I don't know, but she talked about having a separate thing for the emails, like an email list and having a separate manager.
Yeah, I do. I use
You,
Omnisend.
okay, that's the email.
Yeah, and part of kind of what Arlen was saying, uh, I've vacillated about whether or not to switch everything to email marketing with Shopify. Also, since I was using Square point of sale system for so many years, they have email marketing too. But like Arlen was saying, that's owned by them. That's on their platform, and it's a combo platform. So on one hand, it'd be great for tracking and analytics, but on the other hand, having my email list with a dedicated email marketing platform like Omnisend, if all of a sudden Shopify says, well, you can't have access to any of these customers anymore, I've got them all in Omnisend. And that doesn't mean I can't send emails from two different ones, or even all three, depending on I don't want to overlap and whatever, but yeah, I think that's really important, is to be aware of who is owning, who owns the platform you're on, period, and how they're going to manage your content, and how you can keep control of it or not. um yeah,
Okay,
that's
so you
very
do
important.
recommend having both the Shopify and example Omnisend.
I decided I was going to stay with having it separate.
Okay.
The thing I'm going to do, though, is look at the emails I have access to in Shopify and Square, because Square I've had a lot longer, and pull those emails and put them into Omnisend. Because they're verified, these people did sign up on my
Right.
list, even though they signed up through Square or whatever. I can put those emails, any that are not copies, like duplicates, and put those emails into Omnisend. So that's one of the email tasks that I have for myself that I need to
Okay.
do, because there's going to be a lot of cross-referencing. But actually, Omnisend will actually do that for you. And then something else I use, I don't know if I mentioned it, is always clean your email list before you send an email. And I use something called Never Bounce. And Never Bounce is cool because you can buy as many credits as you need for your email list. Like, say if you have an email list of you're starting out, you've got like 200 people. So, and you're going to send, how many emails per week, you can buy however many credits you want to send to those 200 people. So you could buy 600 credits a month, or you could buy however many. So that way it allows you to scale based on your usage. So if you want to send a little more one month, you can just buy more credits. So that's one reason I like using Never Bounce to clean my email list. And then even,
Pay how many you send?
I'm sorry.
You're paying for how many you send?
Oh no, you only pay for how many you check. In Omnisend, you're buying a plan for X amount of emails per month, and you can scale it up. But with Never Bounce, which is just a cleaning tool and a verification tool for your emails, that's where you have to buy credits to uh, to clean those emails. But you only have to pay per how many emails you have. Like if your list is 1,000 people versus 200 people, you buy the credits you need to clean that list. But excuse me, no, it's not every time. Um,
Okay.
but I do personally, and not everybody does. I do personally because if you send out emails too many times with too high a bounce rate or too many like invalid emails, it'll basically wherever in the ether, it'll flag you, and sometimes it'll pause you from being able to even send any emails. So it's really important to, or it'll think that you are collecting emails in not a legal way, as in the person's doing a two-step authorization in opt-in, excuse me, or they actually wrote it down for you. So it's very important to stay legit with your email list because you don't want to run into problems. So it's worth it to. It's one of those return on investment things. It's worth it to clean your email list. Um, Even if you don't do it before each email, because what you can also do is look at what Omnisend gives you back as analytics of how that email performed, that campaign performed. And so Omnisend is going to give you certain tools as well to go ahead and, oh, these are invalid. Let me go ahead and get rid of them. But I never throw an email away. I still keep a master list. Even if it says that email was invalid or something like that, I have found where I can run that email again through Never Bounce, and all of a sudden it's fine. So it could be the email, domain host they're using, who knows what. So never even if it says these emails are no good, just keep them somewhere. Keep that master, and you can segment them in the programs, or also like Arlen was saying, I keep just a Word doc, or no, I'm sorry, a Excel spreadsheet of every
Yeah.
email I've ever collected. And it's segmented by, these are invalid or these whatever, but I keep every single email on my computer where I own it and where it's backed up. I don't just leave it with Never Bounce or yeah.
Well, I just found out that these even existed. So
Oh,
I
okay. Oh, and there's more.
so I just have them all kind of written out and I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I even have like a handwritten copy.
Thanks. I hope to see you in Santa Fe sometimes. Mayoma had to leave. Mayoa had to leave.
Um, yeah, that's so cool though. I was like, I just didn't even know about extra program. Now I'm like, oh, okay. Now I just have to figure out how to organize everything.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what we'll work on. And we'll organize it in a way that works for you, because that's the most important thing is people will literally buy entire programs. Like someone will sell them a program of, how to run your business or whatever, and then you may find out as you get into it, it is totally not fitting your style. The way you work doesn't fit your languaging, and sometimes, I mean, these things can be very expensive.
Yeah, that's how that boot camp was. It was the first like three things, 3 days were free, but then if you want, the real stuff, it's, a couple $1,000 investment.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I don't think I'm even there yet. Let me look at this other stuff. That's pretty much what I got from her was the email list. I was curious what the other people did. But he has to go, but if Jessica wants to share.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Jessica, share about what your business is. I think she's
I
on. Yeah.
I was on mute. We have a healing and expressive art center here in TRC, and it's two venues in one business model. And our website is actually under reconstruction because somehow it got hacked, and it's a nightmare to put it back together. But it's called Emergence Healing and Expressive Art Center and Riverside Hot Springs Retreat. We have housing right next to Riverbend, so we have the same kind of view of the mountain. And
Lovely.
we're actually working with someone from Albuquerque who's bringing a yoga retreat in November. And so there's the center where you can do art, or any other kind of expressive arts. And then the sound room where you can do sound baths, yoga, movement, all kind of more artistic, not visual arts style um, activities. So that's in a nutshell what we have here.
That sounds amazing.
Thank
Do you guys also show like art and other types of jewelry and stuff? I've seen like healing places kind of go in co-op kind of style, or they will rent out a shelf or something and kind of put up like crystals. I do crystal jewelry and stuff is kind of where I was going with that.
No, we don't do that, but I think the Charles would be a good spot. I know they
Oh,
have different artists that, and they have a very eclectic lobby boutique.
Yeah, and see, La Paloma used to have that. We had
yeah,
jewelry, we had incense, we had, handmade ceramic incense holders, So yeah, that was it was some places do have great little shops like that.
yeah, and I never even thought about TRC. I was like, I don't know why, I just
And it's a major healing, it's a major
yeah,
healing place. This place has it's not even just the hot springs. It's a, some people will call it a vortex or whatever, but it is a major, whenever you have, to me, some sort of extremely special natural geological process going on, it's going to make that place special,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just naturally going to make that place special.
Yeah.
So,
I felt that when I went to Sedona the first time. That was
yes. All that
crazy.
iron and those rocks, I mean, that's an antenna.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's all the magnetic, we have a magnetic field on our planet. How can those two not, be affected by each other,
yeah. Yeah, the energy you can really feel. It's yeah.
Yeah, the whole place is one big antenna. It's because those
Yeah.
rocks they're red
Yeah,
for a reason. It's just iron, tons of iron.
exactly. Well, I need to go to I guess I need to put TRC on my list of visiting other things. Like there's, Madrid and Taos and those, but I just
Oh,
over
put
my
Silver
head.
City on the list. Don't forget Southern New Mexico. Put Silver City on the list. Las Cruces is really interesting because Las Cruces is a very specific flavor. Like it's very heavily Mexican influenced. It's heavily more of like the frontier ranching community influenced. It's very I don't know how to say it, almost like it's got some of the like Chicano lowrider culture on it, but in a
Yeah, and they're
different
so
way than
prideful.
Espanola.
Yeah.
So it's very unique and it's
Huh.
it's it's a nice, and that's what I love about New Mexico. It's like whatever mood you're in for whatever type of city, or if you want to go to the mountains or desert or river, we got it all. We really have
Yeah.
it all.
So amazing.
Really
There's
do. We're
Oh,
lucky.
what about have you done stuff in Rio Doso?
Ruidoso is very specific, and I am not going to be doing anything else in Ruidoso because Ruidoso is not my crowd at all.
Okay.
And when I got there, I did not find it to be what it was described as, I guess I should say. Um, for instance, I'm there trying to sell handmade art, but there's a Coach bag store. And there's, so you got that kind of.
Oh yeah, that like
Yeah,
juxtaposition.
and not to and this is not I didn't even coin this term. I call it New Texaco
Oh,
because it's not the Texans who come and shop in Las Cruces. It's a very different crowd. So honestly, when I was in Ruidoso, I didn't even feel like I was in New Mexico. Even the
huh.
food products in the store were mostly Texas food products. So, and I did an art show in Ruidoso that was an absolute nightmare. I've heard very few people do
Trauma.
well at those shows. So yeah, there's other places I would visit. I
Thank
would go to
you.
Silver City.
Thank you for the feedback. I don't need to waste my time there.
Yeah, and it's expensive too.
Yeah.
It's cheap to go stay there because of all the Texans who
Mhm.
come and buy Coach bags and don't buy handmade jewelry at the shows. So
We were just talking about it because like specifically Albuquerque's pretty poor. I'm sure, I mean, every New Mexico in general is pretty poor.
It is,
but
but don't, that's a misnomer though. Don't forget, you got the national labs there
yep.
and all those businesses that support the national labs, construction industry. It's a misnomer. I've done a brunch where you cannot believe it's a brunch I do every year. These people there's money in
So
Albuquerque.
I don't know where to go to look for
Film.
that or to show that
Film
here.
industry. Well, see, that's the thing, and that's why I want more high quality shows.
Yeah.
And literally, this brunch that I do, and I'm trying to build it back up because it's a charity brunch, and the founder passed away. Both of the founders passed away, and I had talked to them about helping them to build it up before, because I mean, he was a not only famous hairdresser here, hairstylist, he was also famous in LA. So every super, rich lady in Albuquerque would fight to get appointments with him. So over the years, he built up this incredible following of this very high-end crowd in Albuquerque. And I not only wanted to help him build up that show because it was for charity, I spoke to him about building it using that crowd to help artists in New Mexico get access to this crowd that normally, I mean, honestly, they'll go to Phoenix and shop.
Yes, and that's what I'm looking at is sending my
Yeah.
stuff to Phoenix.
Yeah. And that's why we need better shows, is because that crowd is there. I mean, in Albuquerque and Santa Fe, I mean, look at Los Alamos. I mean, that's one of the highest earning counties in the entire country, even though we're in a
And
state. It's because of how much money they're making at the labs and the supporting business of the labs. So yeah, and if you go by these expensive restaurants, like if you drive by Papado,
oh yeah, and I put their
they're
art. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
packed, and it's like
Oh
40
yeah.
dollars a plate. So there's people, even here in TRC, there's people. Los Arcos is packed, and look how expensive that is. So there's people out here with money, even in our
Yeah.
poor
It's
state.
just like you said, finding them and finding the higher quality shows.
Yes,
Like there's the Black Friday one and the Balloon Fiesta one. And those, I feel like those are the main ones I was looking at. Otherwise, I was looking at.
Fiesta is don't even bother.
Oh,
Unfortunately, Balloon Fiesta, and this is why we need more shows. First of all, there were a lot of quote unquote home crafts in there. I was led to believe that it was a high-end juried art and fine art and craft show. Well, I started looking at the pictures and really looking at them close and talking to people, and there were doilies and like
but there's
shades,
one that's
not
during the Balloon
artistic.
Fiesta that's not at the Balloon Fiesta.
There
The
is
one, like the
there's
big,
a
it's
couple.
up. Oh, okay.
So which one are you talking about actually?
There's a huge one. I want to say it was at. I want to say it was at a casino, but I don't think so. It might have been at a hotel.
I know what you're talking about. There's two shows. One is the entire fiesta, like the whole 14 days or whatever. You're there every day for like 20 hours a day. Then there's the two weekend shows.
That one.
Those
Okay.
two weekend shows are what I'm talking about. That 14-day thing, I already know. Somebody did that I know, and they said, "Oh my God, it was hell. It was not worth it." They made all these balloon pins that didn't even sell, beautiful enameled handmade balloon pins. That show with the two weekends is the one I'm talking about that's become very stale.
Oh my God. So
They,
both of them.
that's why I want to do better shows.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Okay, what about
Mhm.
no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that because of that, you also get shows that not only is the quality not there, but they have all these artists that are like grandfathered in. So it's the same dang artists every year. So if you have enough good shows, artists can move around and you can have more variety at shows. Instead, you come to the Bloom Fiesta show every year because a lot of people they come to Bloom Fiesta every year. They go to those two weekend shows. It's the same dang artists. How do you expect that to grow? Now, of course, you've got different tourists coming every year, and that's probably the only way they're surviving by having all the same stuff all the time. But if I see home crafts, and I'm not knocking that, that is not where I can sell my,
Right.
handmade $300, that's actually a low end, bracelet.
You're
I can't
looking at
sell it.
fine art, right? Fine art fairs.
Fine art and craft, and we don't have enough of it. The jury
Yeah.
is not there. and they'll charge the wrong price for booths. So then they start getting crap, because sometimes a lot of people who make crap, they have money to pay a big booth fee.
Yeah.
And then no other good artists want to do that show again because they can't sell their fine art next to crap, which is,
Okay.
resell stuff. And, I'm not trying to be mean.
Yeah.
Saying
No. It's different. And
it's
I'm
horrible.
learning that. Yeah. So then do you know anything about the one at Hotel Chaco during the Black Friday?
Is that the New Mexico Artisan Market?
Maybe. Oh, and it might be Albuquerque Hotel.
Yeah, I think they moved. Yep. Uh, when they first came out, I met Chris, who worked for Drury Hotels. I met him in Santa Fe at a show, and he approached me to apply for his show. It was new at the time, and I immediately started asking him all these questions about, because I wanted to see if it was going to be even worth it. Like,
Yeah.
are you a professional or not? Well, I found out he worked for Drury Hotels for a long time, in hospitality. So he knows his stuff that way. They had very high-end sponsorship. They had high-end graphics, website, everything. Well, the pandemic hit and Chris was no longer running it. So the first year they came back, there was a lady running it and it was an absolute nightmare. There was wind whistling through the aisles. She didn't have the network that he had to make it successful. And she probably didn't have the budget either, to do the marketing and everything she needed to do. So I heard it was horrible that first year. Now, this year, I am literally debating whether or not I want to apply for it, because I need to investigate the new promoter more, and I need to network with some artists who did it last year. And see, that's the kind of thing I'm going to do before I even spend that jury money to apply
Yeah,
for
that's where I'm at.
first.
They're like asking for applications and I'm like, I
Yeah,
don't even
no,
know. And
first
there's
is
another,
and here's a good practice in doing your due diligence with your research to prevent you from wasting money at a show that's no longer any good. Because you could talk to somebody and they'll be like, I did that show and it was fantastic. Well, that was back in 2019 when they did it and it was fantastic. They don't know that it's changed management twice since. And does that management have the budget? Do they have the experience? Because apparently the first one back, she apparently didn't know what the H she was doing. And she didn't have I saw that she didn't have the sponsorship. She didn't have as high a quality artists. So she was trying to kind of, ride the coattails, but you can't do that. It doesn't work. It's like, even if people show up that first time they see that bad, showing, just like me, I'm a little spooked right now. It's like I'm going to do a lot of research before I apply for that show, because there's other shows that weekend, that may be counterintuitively better than doing New Mexico Artisan Market.
and would
Because
that be outside of Albuquerque?
um, let's talk. Let's talk.
Okay.
I'm working on my show schedule right now. So yeah, let's talk because I'm doing research about it.
Okay.
Uh, and yeah, let's talk about that. And I definitely need to do that workshop for sure.
And I'll yeah, be involved as much as I can, definitely.
Yeah, that nuts and bolts event promoter workshop needs to happen.
Yeah.
Because not only is it going to help those, that side of it, but it can help do what we're doing right now. Figure out ways to find out if a show right now this year, not how it was last year or 5 years ago, how it's going to be, and to your best ability. I mean, sometimes you can do a bunch of research and still it ends up being a dud for you. Or you break even. If you break even, you're lucky, but you definitely don't want to go in the hole for something. So at least if you can make good enough, research and decisions to break even, but that's not our goal. We want to make profit. Is what our goal
Yes,
is.
exactly. Cool. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll talk about that. That's one-on-one right there.
Got it. Sorry, Jessica.
We'll be talking about that. Okay. Any more questions?
No worries. We'll talk soon.
We will. We will. And I'll
Have
get
a
out
good
that
trip.
email, and then we'll send the link with all the workshops. I'm sorry, all the Zoom recordings. We'll send that link.
And I think I only got workshop 1 and 2 emails. So maybe you want to send the whole thing over again?
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send
Okay.
all 4 together, the handouts as well as the PowerPoints. And then
Okay.
you'll get the link for the Zoom recordings, all 4. And then I'm going to send out some additional worksheets like that networking tracking worksheet and, a list of just a lot of these platforms that I've mentioned out there. So yeah, I'll be sending all that. And then we can start some one-on-ones because it is a lot of information. It is kind of good to look it over. Some things we'll talk about immediately, like Abby, we do need to talk about show stuff pretty quickly because deadlines are coming up every month for shows that
Every
may not
week.
be till December. So you're laying your groundwork now.
Yes,
Even
I'm
follow.
stressing out.
No, don't stress out. Don't stress out. See, if we do, our due diligence and we don't have to stress out. We don't. Because that's what I did when I first got here. I was like, what show do I do? Because I didn't even have a network yet of artists that I could ask.
Oh yeah, last year I totally winged it. It was all
Mhm.
total. Yeah, it was
And there's some
great learning.
shows that are one day even that are better than whole weekend shows that are supposedly wonderful. So in this state, it's tricky, and that's why I really want to start some new good shows.
Cool.
And
I'm excited.
a B2B wholesale show.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds so cool. I heard about that recently. Someone was talking about doing wholesale stuff for other stores in New Mexico, and I was like, that is such, why don't we do this anymore?
Yeah, I'm in touch with the lady who used to run the 2 that we had, and I'm working with her, and she's already got some dates booked at the Santa Fe Convention Center next year. So I'm
Awesome.
working with her on us having it next spring and possibly having a spring and well, according to buying seasons.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's already got dates reserved, and I'm going to be working with her to bring that back because I don't have as much experience with a B2B show, and she's got 30 years of experience working on this with the state. So we're going to partner on that, and she's appreciative of me because I am, from a different generation, and I have, kind of like feet on the ground of what's going on now versus what was going on when she was doing those shows. So yeah, it's exciting. That is something I'm going to be diligently working on with multiple entities, is producing some better shows in New Mexico.
Cool. I look forward to working with you with that.
Yeah, cool.
Thanks.
Awesome. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up for today. Is everybody good?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so glad you came so we can talk about that because that's a big one. You don't want to waste your money at the wrong shows.
So I really appreciate just your guidance and stuff. And
Yeah.
and then Jessica, that's awesome for your healing because everyone needs healing.
That's what they come to this state for. It's a great business to be in this state and a great thing to offer a retreat space in this state too for people to book, and then market how special New Mexico is, all over. Look at the healing traditions from the, curanderas all the way to the northern New Mexico and Pueblo and our indigenous traditions of healing. And so, yeah, it's a great business to be in this state.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
Well, see everybody soon. Thank you, Arlen. I think he's still here.
No
Arlen, are
problem.
you
I'm sorry. I was messing with this internet over here, so.
No worries. Thank you very much.
around today? Oh,
Yeah, sadly, we're doing internet maintenance at our building, so I have to switch it to my hotspot.
got it. All right. Well, we can wrap it up.
Allyson. Thank you, everybody. Nice
you're
to
very
meet you,
welcome.
Ab.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you guys. Have a good day.
Yeah,
And
thank you for
rest
coming.
of your week.
Bye.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.